All right, we are recording. All right, get myself into it. You've got the beers, Neil? Lovely. Right, you comfy?
I think so.
Ready to get started?
Yeah.
Do you want me to introduce it? Or
Yeah, go for it.
Right, let me just turn this up a little bit. Just
I
get
have no idea what episode it is.
79. Oh, and it's windy and everything. Oh my god. Just wait till the wind goes down. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Developing Dads podcast. We are currently in person, aren't we, Neil?
We are. Hello. Real life.
We are in
I'm
real...
not AI. I'm not a bot.
No, you're not on Riverside, on the other side of Scotland. We're actually outside St Paul's. We're recording on a 360 camera, so you can actually go and check us out on YouTube and see us in all like 5K glory.
5K. Wow.
5K, Neil.
Don't think I'll look that impressive, but the cathedral will.
I hope so. I mean, I'm hoping the battery on this Zoom H6 lasts because it's already gone down to 2 bars. So we'll see how this goes, and we'll continue to crack on with the pod. Either way, we've actually got an interesting drink with us today. We've gone to the Brewdog, local Brewdog, which is Brewdog times McKellar Urban Fog. It's gone through a process of shaking on a Boris bike, so we're about to try and open it live on camera.
Oh,
and it just went all over me. Thanks very much.
lovely.
What is this one? This is a New England IPA. It's got a snazzy can. Let's see a taste test. You tell us. You're the beer king.
Nice. Yeah, smooth. I mean, we've had 2 or 3 beers already.
That always, it's like when you're hungry, right? Any food tastes nice,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whenever you've had a few beers, any beer tastes good. I think that's why
Even at 6.5%.
I think that's even why the popularity of like Zambuca came along, right? Nobody has a Zambuca at their first drink.
No, or on the rocks.
All the rock. No, nobody sat there sipping away. But to be fair though, when we do meet up in July, we are likely to have David, who's very much into like his eclectic drink mixes, which has various things like some French aniseed type drinks that he might get you into.
Wow.
But I think he's quite excited about the whole idea of Sky and Talisker and all that jazz. But either way, yes, this is episode number 79 of the Developing Dads podcast. We are outside St Paul's. We're doing an outdoor one because it's beautiful summertime. It's probably nearly a year since we last did a...
Yeah, it probably is. Almost to the day, maybe a couple of weeks ago. I was down in London again, and we did one in London Bridge where you can check out on YouTube. And I must say, I was super nervous about doing that one because I don't know what episode it was, maybe, I don't know, in the 20s, in the 30s. But now we're in episode number 78, 79, one of them. I feel like a seasoned podcaster, and I don't give a shit what everyone says.
But there's still a level of like, it's still a level of like there's now an audience, right? But they don't care.
They can't hear us.
No, because there's a spotlight effect that people tend to focus on, where they're like, everybody's watching me. There's a spotlight on me. They can see what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, what I'm doing. And I bet your bottom dollar, no one's walked past and given a shit about what we're doing.
Yeah.
They'll probably think, what are these 2 drunk wankers doing with microphones in their hands?
And they'll forget about it in 10 seconds.
Exactly. So, today is episode number 79 of the Developing Dads podcast, and we're kind of going into the inequality of dad life. I don't think a lot of people talk about it because there are lots of bad things that happen in the world. And one of them, I feel, is essentially how the inequality of being a father represents itself in raising kids. And there's some obvious things that have happened to me this week that I'm keen to kind of explore and just kind of talk about. And I don't know if we can fix it, but more like the raising awareness of the fact that it actually exists.
Yeah.
I forget when did we do our last podcast? Do we have anything to update each other on?
Probably. We need to keep the tradition.
Yes, the tradition for anyone who's listening is that on the Developing Dads podcast, we do ask each other how we are because that's an important part of just catching up, checking in, making sure everyone's okay. Yeah. So I'm keen, Neil. How are you, and what have you been up to? Like, why the hell are you in London?
What I've been up to and why I'm in London. So I can't remember the last time we spoke. I think it was Sunday, actually. Yeah, I think it was probably Sunday we did it. So it's not that far, not that long ago. Not been up to that much, but I guess, why am I in London? So there's a project management conference that I am presenting at with the company I work for. So apparently I'm good at socializing, and apparently I'm good at building rapport. So I get sent to these things, which I'm not complaining because I get to spend time with Gordon, and I get to experience London in a bit more time down here. My travels down was a bit, not dramatic, but just long. So I was scheduled to be here for 10 a.m. and I didn't arrive till 3:30. And that was because the flight that I was meant to be on was delayed by like 3.5, 4 hours. It does mean, being an Aberdonian, I get some money.
Hold on, being an Aberdonian,
I get some money. No,
like being Scottish,
being
something-
Scottish.
you get another privilege. Is that what you're saying?
Not as Scottish, but I'm excited because, free money is always good. So I get compensation because it's an EU law, even though we're not in the EU anymore. It's an EU law that if a flight's delayed over 3 hours, then you get 250 quid back. So my work paid for this flight down, and I get 250 cash for the inconvenience, which is great. So it wasn't that bad, but a bit frustrating. I had to move a lot of meetings and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, all in all, it's been a pretty nice day. Went for a nice meal. Went for a delicious pizza.
We did go for a very nice meal. We
Gloria, what was it called?
It's called Gloria. I went on TripAdvisor. Neil said, he wants to go for pizza. But there are quite a few good pizza places in London. Like, quite a few. And anyway, I was kind of like searching. I went on TripAdvisor to see if I could find something quite interesting and figure out whether or not it was kind of something that we could do and whatever else. And this place, like Gloria, popped up. It had pizza, looked really good, Italian, tasty. And we went there, and it has to be the best pizza. I think it's one of the best pizzas I've ever had.
Yeah, like phenomenal. The whole crust was like an air bubble. The beer, like I had arrived maybe 10, 15 minutes earlier, so I ordered an IPA, and we've only got like IPA, lager, or pale ale. And I went for the IPA, and it was just phenomenal, really delicious. So
I think this is something about, a lot of people focus on. I was watching a YouTube video earlier this week about the idea of like personal branding or just branding in general. And a lot of people get this shiny object syndrome, right? Get a new camera, it's going to make me look better. Get a new microphone, it's going to make me sound better. I'm going to get more views, get more listens, more downloads. But the general idea of this was actually the idea that, do more, better, and keep going backwards and forwards until you can't do any more. And it's like, that makes sense. And this restaurant in itself was just more, better. Great beer. Nailed the food. The food was absolutely fantastic. The ambiance, even to the point where I think we've been to restaurants before where you can't hear each other.
Yeah, you're shouting over the music.
This place, I was having a lovely little conversation with Neil about life and all the things that we're getting up to. So it was fantastic. But yeah, anything else?
No, I just find it funny when people walk past and they turn their heads to stare continuously. I just find that quite entertaining.
I mean, you would do it.
I wouldn't.
You're a nosy prick.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you, Gordon?
I'm good. It's an early start to the week. It's a Tuesday, so I don't think I've got a huge amount to report on because we recorded the past podcast last Thursday or Friday.
Sunday, I thought.
Sunday, did we? Maybe we did. I can't remember. Did we?
No idea.
Are you getting distracted by people in the audience?
No, maybe I do have more to add. Like, we had a nice family day out. We went to a massive park in St Andrews, which has like a boating pond, tractor rides, train ride, trampolines, bouncy castles. So we spent the day there with a few family friends.
How much did it cost you?
Well, have you heard of Voucher?
No. This sounds like something I need to know.
So it's like Groupon.
Right.
But anyway, this place it's normally 60 quid for a family of 5. They had a voucher for 20 quid unlimited access.
Fantastic.
So, bargain, Gordon.
Get me on board with that because Chessington World of Adventures last year was not a bargain.
Last week,
yes. It wasn't a bargain. But, my week, what I've been up to. Like, Monday's my daddy daycare day, and this is where this whole kind of like, sure, inequality for fathers, blah, 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 let's raise some awareness, but there's more to it that I think was quite important. But yeah, I had my lovely, like, daddy daycare day with Olivia. We did a little football thing, hung out together, played football, which was great, and I really enjoy that time.
Yeah.
And then we had some pizza thing at the nursery, and then today's kind of been quite busy, but I'm kind of like at a good point of like kind of flying with the whole business thing and the whole stuff that I'm up to. I think I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about the stuff we're doing. It's just, I think I'm in a good period of life, to be honest. Like I feel good,
Nice.
and I don't think I had a hard time during my early 30s, but I don't think I was progressing as hardcore as I was during my sort of 20s, which was kind of cool. Neil's taking a picture, by the way. So it's good time. Like I've got this kind of mentorship thing that I'm running now. I've got some retainer clients through my agency. Money income is good. Developing is good. Like it feels good. And I feel like my relationship with Laura is good. You know, I feel like I'm having a good time across the board.
You're on. We've mentioned this a few times. There's something I have in the podcast where you go through stages of life where it's a season, and obviously seasons come and go. And I don't know, does it follow the seasons of the calendar year? I have no idea the weather, but I feel like I'm on a high as well. I feel pretty good about things.
Nah, I think in the early 20s you haven't spent enough time and you haven't done enough things that anything becomes boring. Like you take on work, you do new things, you take a new adventure.
Say yes.
Yeah, yes, you do all those kind of bits and pieces. Then you get to late 20s and you're like, well, what am I doing with my life? And then you think you figure it out when you're 30, and then you realize, I still don't know what I'm doing with my life. And then I feel like when you get to like late 30s, you start to sort of bed in as an adult a bit more because you maybe had a kid and you got married and you've got taken on bits and pieces. You got over that hump a bit. So I think I'm maybe on that bit. And I guess the next 10 years is exciting, or it feels like it's exciting to me. And then after that, I might have another crisis of some kind. But
I don't necessarily mean crisis, but I think your mood definitely fluctuates.
Oh, of course it does. Because I think it's something to do with the idea of like every 10 years, if you've been progressing enough on something for 10 years, you've probably become pretty good at it. And, you know, passion is a side effect of mastery. So when you become good at something, you become passionate about it.
Yeah.
So when you become good enough at something to deliver a service to make enough money, you're like, well, cool, bro. Like, what do I do now? Like, do you just keep being a master?
Yeah.
And it seems arrogant. Yeah, sure. I wasn't necessarily a master at personal training or fitness stuff, but I was good enough to get people results. And it just becomes a bit boring because you're saying the same thing.
Yeah, just on repeat.
Whereas now I'm saying stuff that I feel is quite new. Not necessarily new to me, but new to my audience. Very new to my audience, which feels really nice. I think it feels fun. And it's growing and the business is doing well and income is good. So today was kind of a bit of that. I started the new podcast. I've already recorded like 7 or 8 episodes, had some good ones. And then just enjoying it. And then sun's out. Going on holiday soon. Planning another one later in the year. Yeah, it's good, mate.
Yeah.
It's kind of...
We've got an audience.
No. Neil is definitely like, it's kind of interesting because Neil's quite distracted by all the people that are around me.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of, could we do without it? But it is what it is, right?
I enjoy it.
Look, anyone cares. Anyway, to my kind of discussion point that I was quite interested in going through was it came from this thing. I think we talked about it already a little bit, but it came from this what happened during I took Olivia yesterday to a Father's Day thing, which was on a nursery. So it was in a nursery that she goes to 2 days a week on Thursday and Friday. And she was really interested. Neil, are you paying attention?
Yes.
Neil's getting distracted by kids climbing trees. So I was kind of they invited dads to come along to make pizzas.
Lovely.
And yeah, I thought it was great. Fantastic. And we're a bit late because Olivia had slept in. She said she'd like to have a long nap. Anyway, we got there and I was the only dad.
That's sad.
I was the only one. And,
yeah.
And I felt very grateful, in fact, that I was able to, at 2:30 in the afternoon until 4 o'clock, see Olivia in her nursery, make a pizza with her, sit with her, play with her, meet her friends. She made a friend, Neil, called Thomas.
Oh.
I know. I met Thomas.
What's he like?
He seems like a nice guy.
A 3-year-old nice guy, 2-year-old nice guy.
Well, yeah, we'll see. He might develop into something. Who knows? As long as he's going to become a doctor or a lawyer or
entrepreneur.
Exactly. So yeah, like that, and that got me thinking. Like I was super grateful for the fact that I was able to do this. Like I was able to go and spend time with Olivia, and it's not many parents, regardless of male or female. It's difficult. You got to work. You got to do the thing.
Yeah.
Earn the money. But I just felt like this was a prime example of we haven't progressed as a society. We bang on about the idea of equality. Like it's something that we should fight for.
Yeah.
And we should. Of course we should. But it's not just one group or one person or one thing. It's like, it's dads. Like
yeah.
Dads still go to work as a primary source of income for the family. They still do.
That's why there's not many dads there.
Exactly. And isn't that sad? Isn't that sad that we'd still live in a world where it's difficult for fathers to leave work to go and spend time with their 2-year-old kid at nursery for Father's Day, which happens once a year.
Yeah. Sad, really sad.
So have you experienced anything like that? Like, have there been times where you've not been able to leave, or if you have been able to leave, you've managed to go and enjoy some time? Like, what's your experience been?
Yeah, I feel like I might be a bit numb to it now in terms of, like, I'm used to having that flexibility. Every job I've had, I've never missed a key thing of Islas, kind of nursery or school, a key thing of the boys. And this time of year is always quite busy because there's lots of sports days and the boys are transitioning into P1, so there's lots of like parent things for that. And I've been lucky enough to have a flexible job to allow me to, share that time with the kids, which is amazing. But I do relate to you in that I get to pick up Isla maybe 5 or 6 times a week from school, and out of, I don't know, there's 600 kids, 500 kids in the primary school, and I count on one hand how many dads there are in the playground waiting for the kids to come out. And I think that's really sad. I think that, more dads need to be, and do they have the option? Maybe not. Maybe that's where the equality thing comes in, but yeah, it's sad to see.
But there isn't. I think it starts at the grassroots aspect of it, and I talk about grassroots in the sense of parental leave, so maternity and paternity leave.
I think the UK's got that really wrong.
It's not the same.
No,
because like maybe you can explain to the audience, like, what did you get as a father of newborn twins?
Yeah, so I got 2 weeks statutory, which is like 180 quid a week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you can get 9 months statutory if you're a woman, and get 170 quid a week or whatever else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how is that the same? I know that some companies are quite progressive and they'll have some level of like shared parental leave and whatnot.
Not all companies.
Not all companies, no. But still in this country, all you get as a man is 2 weeks paternity leave.
Yeah, and that's what the government kind of mandate the companies have to give, which I think is sad. And when you look at my brother-in-law, he lives in Denmark, and I'm not sure the exact ins and outs of it.
I think they get a year.
So he gets full pay 6 months as a dad. So yeah, I don't know the exact terms and conditions of that, but I definitely know the Nordic countries and stuff are a lot more progressive, and it's kind of built into the legislation where dads need to have the same or similar to the mums.
It is, and it's kind of, maybe there is that ability to share parental leave. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but it's not obvious to me.
Yeah,
and it just feels quite crap, if I'm honest. Because I'd like to see more dads at those types of events, because I don't think there's any bad that comes from it.
Yeah, I know.
I think there's only good. The more time you get to spend with your daughter or son or whatever else. And I'm categorically not saying that raising children is easy, and that I'd love to be a stay-at-home dad and Laura goes off to work and earns all the money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's just, I think we could have more opportunities for men to be able to take the time off and enjoy time off with their kids.
Where do you think it starts? Do you think it starts at the company level, where they need to be more pushy in terms of, dad, you get this time off? Or is it the individual? Is it now ingrained in dad's life where we just need to work, we just need to earn, we just need to...
I think as a society, yes, I think there's a lot we can move on from in terms of the whole male image. I think men can move on from it themselves at the same time. Women can help us. People can help us. I think we can stop seeing men as their main capable and useful trait is going to work and earning money.
Yeah.
We can be caring and we can be emotional. I think we talked about that in a previous podcast. I think we can do that. And I think it's important that we demonstrate that and accept it. And then it begins with the equalizing of law.
Yeah.
Like if we have an ethics committee and a women's equality MP, why do we not have a men's equality MP?
Yeah. Why isn't it matched with the kind of maternity leave?
Exactly. Like these are all things that should be happening. But I feel like, and even in I am 35 years old, living in 2023, and I'm the only dad that turns up to a nursery appointment.
Yeah, sad.
I'm sorry, but there's an inequality going on somewhere.
Yeah.
And, is it because men feel they have to work? I'm pretty sure most dads, I don't know many dads that would be listening to this, and maybe they are or aren't, but I'm pretty sure they'd like to have the flexibility to not have to worry about any kind of income, to be able to ask their employer, I'd like to take the time off.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to my daughter's 2:30 appointment in nursery. and not worry about losing clients or losing money or income or their boss worrying about it by having legislation, like by the government saying you have to allow this to happen.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. I'm just fortunate enough that I've had that. Either my boss has had kids, or the company's very kind of pro dad and pro mum. They've given the time. Like, there's zero questions.
And I think there's some level of issue with the idea that, you know, men maybe do earn more than women, certainly when it comes to their, you know, parenting jobs or duties or things that come along with it. So it's kind of like, okay, like how do we then equalize that? Do women have less time off when they give birth? Because women can have up to a year maternity leave off from work, 9 months, which would be either paid or statutory, but depending on the business, from what I understand, and then they have 3 months unpaid, but the company has to give them back their job when they go back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is like written in legislation, but it's the kind of after effects, and I know you've experienced it a little bit, but it's the after effects of like you haven't been around for 12 months, so therefore you're not valuable anymore. I think it's a struggle. I have no idea how you get over it, because you get into the danger of kind of scaring women into having kids, because they lose their career opportunities, they lose the kind of income they can get and all that kind of stuff.
Sure, but then if we had a shared parental leave and it was like, hey, you know, you've given birth, it's 8 weeks, there's 12 weeks now, you go back to work, I'll take the burden of childbearing. Yeah,
and then it comes down to like free childcare, and that's coming. I think in the UK have made some pretty major moves in that. I think from 12 months you get like free childcare or something like that, which is massive. Because when I had Isla, the only free childcare you get was 3.5.
That's huge. I think that's going to be huge for us in particular, because first of all, we're getting absolutely rinsed by the nursery. So I turned up because I wanted the free pizza. I wanted
Take it home and freeze it.
I wanted to get fed for free, because that quite frankly was at least me getting some sort of money back. But yeah, it's important that, for example, Laura now has like 6 months maternity leave as part of her employment process, which makes me feel much better about it. You know, like we've got 6 months full pay coming in. I think it makes her feel more comfortable overall. I just think there's a huge lacking in the idea of like equality when it comes to maternity and paternity leave. It should be the same. Like, why can't I take 3 months of Laura's full pay? She goes back to work, then I get paid from that maternity leave. Like, they'd be paying it anyway.
Yeah,
like there's things like that. To the free childcare that's coming in, that's going to make a big difference. I think it'll probably make a big difference in young parents. You know, youngish. I mean, between the ages of 25 and 35. There's less pressure now, because it's two household incomes, and you have a bigger house, fancier house, more expensive house because of that. So if you now have free childcare, because that can cost up to $2,000 a month.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would have reconsidered things if we knew Isla was getting paid childcare somewhat, even if it's half paid or whatever, when she hits 12 months old, then we would have reconsidered Rebecca going back to work. But when you look at the thought of having a kid that's going to cost you, I don't know, $1 or $2,000 a month to put them in for 3.5 years, it's a massive expense. And then when you have twins, you get no fucking discount with twins. It's mad.
I mean, that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? It's like, I didn't choose to have twins.
Yeah.
This was completely random.
Why isn't the government stepping in and giving me some credits?
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, it's hard, right? Because we can continue to sit here and put our hands out and say, like, why is the government not helping us? Why are they not doing the thing that they should be doing? Blah blah blah. It's just I'd really like dads all over the country to feel like they can just do what I did yesterday at 2:30.
Yeah.
To take Olivia to nursery, to sit with her on this stupid little chair that I couldn't fit on, you know, to make the stupid pizza that didn't taste very nice.
Yeah.
To interact with little snotty-nosed kids that are not mine. I just want to see Olivia. But it was such a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm sitting here professing to think that I have the solution necessarily to this issue, but it's kind of like, I don't know if people realize that this happens.
Yeah, no, I don't think they do. And I don't know, certainly when we were back when we were children in nursery and in school, I don't know if there's, I can't remember that far back, but I'm pretty sure that it was probably very mom-centric. And Yeah, I guess. I wonder where it's coming from. Is it the social pressures of like, I need to keep working, I need to keep earning, or like what's pressuring these dads into working?
I think there's something to do with the idea that we talked about actually at dinner, was the idea that men, to some extent, I'm generalizing, you can take what you want from this, but men generally just want to feel useful and capable.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's quite easy to feel useful and capable if you go to work. Like, I can provide for the family.
Yeah.
I can do my thing. And whether that's cultural or whether it's, nature,
Yeah.
then I'll accept either argument. But at the end of the day, I know that when I feel capable and useful, I feel more powerful.
Yeah.
I feel much better.
Yeah.
But when I sit and I don't feel like that, then it becomes quite difficult. So I think generally men feel like they need to do that because that's the thing that it's kind of culturally and maybe naturally embedded in you to go off and hunt the bison,
Yeah.
to some extent. And but then also it's like it's also a legislative thing. Like at the bare root, the ground level of this all is like, what does the law say? It doesn't give any credence to having extended periods of
Being a dad. Yeah.
being a dad and taking that time off. Like there's no, the government aren't worried about that.
Yeah.
They don't have a men's equality MP.
Yeah.
They don't. And that feels bad. And I think we're going to be stuck in this utter bullshit of men feeling like they have to go to work.
I hope that, I guess a bit of a question for me, also an answer for me is like, I've got two sons, twins if you're a new listener. I hope that when since I'm around for, I would go as close to saying 100% of their kind of daddy days at nursery and P1 transition days, sports days. I've never missed one. I hope that kind of bleeds into when they raise their kids. They want to be around. They see that I'm a role model. That they remember, whether that's, I don't know, in the front of their memory or kind of subconsciously, that I was around. So hopefully we're kind of breeding these kids that are...
The interesting thing that you're talking about there is like being a present father.
Yeah.
And I think there's already evidence of that working. So if you ever read a book called Freakonomics, I don't know which chapter it is, but it essentially goes into the era of 3 strikes and you're out, which is from Bill Clinton. So essentially if you commit 3 crimes, you then go to jail. And you go to jail for quite a long time. And unfortunately, it was actually that a lot of African Americans were suffering the plight of this because they would commit 3 kind of basic... They were committing crimes, but they weren't necessarily things that were murder or rape or any of that kind of thing. Yeah. They were kind of like shoplifting and car stealing and all that kind of stuff. And there was this rise in crime, right? This rise of crime in America during Bill Clinton's eras. And the way to deal with it was this 3-strike thing. And the author, I can't remember the author's name in Freakonomics, a very famous book, but he traced it all the way back to the time that America had essentially outlawed abortion.
Wow.
So when we outlawed abortion, there were lots of pregnancies that were going on with absent fathers. So women were getting pregnant, they were giving birth, and it was a broken family situation, essentially.
Yeah, over and over again.
Over and over again. There was a lot. And then these young males, generally males, came to age. Right, so the 60s, 70s-ish area. And they came to age 25, 20 years old, 25, became men, and they started committing crimes. And a lot of this was attested to was because of this broken family aspect.
Wow.
There weren't fathers present in this. Because men, from what I understand, demonstrate a level of like power and violence, right?
Yeah.
They control things, they discipline things, they hold on to stuff. So there's kind of like this part of that, right? Where if you're relatively absent, what does that say? Like what happens in that? And there's evidence of that already, right? There's evidence of that happening in history, and it's quite scary. That still is happening to some extent. I mean, I'm not saying it's that bad, but I'm also saying that it's not. Is it any better?
I know a few single mums that have kids similar to my kids,
but it's not. So a single mum is basically like they don't have the father of the children.
Yeah,
doesn't live with them. But you've got friends who are offshore for the best part of 4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks at a
months.
time. Yeah.
Is that not the same?
3 months, yeah, sometimes.
So what effect does that have? You know, like that's why I'm saying that the ability to split parental leave to allow a father to go to things like that. There's no
negatives.
I can't see a bit negative.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing, and then it becomes this kind of parent-child bond, which is important. You know, the more time you spend with someone, the more you love them.
Yeah.
Especially when it's your kid. So, then how does that help when they're a teenager, when they're an older individual?
They need to open up to you, and they need to
and they want to solve their problems, right?
Yeah.
And have someone there to help them.
Yeah.
You know, and what does it take? Men getting equal leave?
Yeah.
Like getting a full year off if they want to?
And employers being that flexible in terms of, I know that if I forget that tomorrow, well, I'm in London, so that's not a good example. But last week, if I was at home and there was a parents' evening or a kids' sports day and I forgot about it, I know if I mention it to my boss and say, yeah, I've got this, they'll be like, yeah, go ahead. Like, there's zero worries. So I think the employer and companies do have some say in this and some kind of influence to young dads.
I think so. I think you're quite in a unique position because you have obviously a good relationship with your boss. You have a good relationship with people you work with,
and I work bloody hard.
Yeah, and you obviously have good enough profit margins.
Yeah,
because if you're in a hospitality industry, it's kind of a different story. Let's change tone slightly. We're on to our second beer that's obviously been through the dishwasher that is Lime Bikes. Oh, it's worked all right. This one we actually have is a Candy Kittens Raspberry Guava New England IPA.
It does sound delicious.
And who's it from, Neil? You were giving me all sorts of fun facts before we started.
I can't remember the guy's name, but it's a chap from Only Way is Essex.
He got married. No, it's not Only Way is Essex. It's Made in Chelsea.
Made in Chelsea.
Jamie Lang.
Jamie Lang?
Yes, it is, yeah.
No, because he's got blonde hair. It's a guy that's got black hair.
No, he didn't do Candy Kittens. It was Jamie Lang that did this one.
Was it?
I'm sure. Neil's getting his phone out. By the way, if this is riveting conversation, then please, by all means, comment down below.
Candy Kittens.
Jamie Lang. I'm telling you.
Owner. Here we go.
Oh, drum roll, please.
Jamie Lang.
See?
Laying.
There we go. Laying. He was the Cadbury's guy, wasn't he? Or was he the McVitie's or something? Yeah, that's it. So anyway, Brewdog have clearly done like a collaboration, 6%. So it's quite heavy. Cheers, Neil. Slunge you.
Cheers.
Right.
I've never tried this one before.
Right, let's see. We'll do a taste test.
I like it.
Do you?
Gordon's not sure.
I'm not it's not beer though, is it?
No, it's verging on like fruity, cidery beer.
What the fuck have they done to it, Neil? Dear Jesus.
I can definitely get the guava and the raspberry.
Oh, I'm not denying that, but it's kind of like a really shit monster.
With 6% alcohol.
Yeah, you know when you find that rogue, it's not a monster, it's called something like
fuel or hydrate.
Yes. Some nonsense
B&M.
like that. That's kind of what this tastes like. But, I mean, fair play. Suitable for vegans though. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, cheers.
This is a novelty because I was in Glasgow last weekend. And the Scots I am, I was like, to save some money, we could get a carry out from a newsagent and go to the park, sit on a bench, and just Rebecca was going to have a bottle of Prosecco, I was going to have some beers. Googled it, and it turns out it's illegal to drink in Glasgow, in public spaces.
In Scotland it is.
Edinburgh Council have said you can.
Okay, so in Scotland in general, it's illegal to have an open canister in public.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm in London and having a great time.
Oh, I friggin'... There's lots about London that I really enjoy, and one of them is actually summertime. It's summertime with a beer, you can go outside, sit outside, enjoy yourself. And let's be honest, like, no one's running around here trying to assault me.
Yeah, like, when you even in the busy districts, you see people outside having beers and stuff. They're all civil, they're all fine. But there's like 50 folk outside a bar having a beer.
It's because Scotland's just full of nutcases.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's nice.
It is. So yeah, do you have any sort of ideas on how
to solve it?
Yeah, how to solve this parental inequality aspect of things?
To like the 2.5 listeners.
Yeah. Do you think there's more that could be done beyond what we're kind of talking about? Do you think men could be talking more to their employers about doing something? And
I think it starts with employers. Well, I mean, if you go up the tree, it probably starts with government, but government are going to look at paternity and maternity and maybe do something about that. But when the kid's, I don't know, 2 years old, the government can't step in. So it really comes down to the employer emphasizing, and I know some employers do kind of flexible days where if your kid's sick or if your kid has a doctor's appointment or has a nursery thing, you get like a bank of them to use throughout the year. So some companies actually split it where you get your standard 30 days holiday a year plus 10 if you're a dad or 10 if you're a parent. And that 10 is designed for if the kid's sick. So that kind of alleviates a bit of stress from that. So yeah, I think employers can do a lot more to publicize it. And I do think it's down to these companies that I don't know are quite high demanding and I've been in them. Like the company I'm in just now. Previous to that, I was working, I don't know, 70, 80 hours a week, always on call. It was very demanding, and I still got flexibility to see the kids when I needed to. But I think employers, I think it starts with them when the kids get older.
So the relationship that you have with your boss, I'm quite interested in how you're able to then sort of essentially negotiate like time off. Right, you're able to say, hey, I'm having a bad day. Can I like just take a minute? The kids are sick. Like something's happening. So how do you do that? How do you negotiate that? Like how do you manage that? Do you just tell them early on before you start that you've got kids and this is how it's going to be?
Yeah.
Do you open up about the difficulties that you face in terms of child rearing and what's going on? Like how do you have that conversation? So because you're again, I go back to the idea like men are seen to be have balls. And be power like
and man up,
right? Whereas you could be quite vulnerable and say, "Look, I'm struggling. I need to help my wife." How do you do that?
Yeah, so I've always, and this is not just the job I'm in just now. I've always been very open and honest, but I'm aware I work harder, and I work very hard, and probably harder than a lot of my peers. So when I phone up and say, "Oh, I forgot it's my kid's sports day," or "Isla's really sick and I need to look after her," I don't feel bad for it because I know I'm always a step further than my people at the same level as me. And like this morning, for example, I was in the airport at 6:30 in the morning, going through security, got to a coffee shop, I started working. Like some people wouldn't do that. Some people would get a coffee and read a book or whatever. But I don't know, I'm passionate about every job I've had, and that allows me the confidence to say, look, last week I put in X amount of hours, or I started at 6:30 this morning, so therefore I can finish at 3, whatever. Like it gives me that confidence. So I think there's part of it where the person, the dad needs to, I don't know, step up a bit day to day and then not feel bad about taking time off. But then it's also the employer giving flexibility. But if you're a shit worker, then don't expect it.
So you're like, you're basically put into the world what you expect out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So inputs and outputs is essentially what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Because there's times at which you probably can work, like your kid's asleep.
Yeah.
Like you can still, if it's early morning or it's late night or whatever else, you've been sending emails at 9 p.m. or you're up before they're awake, because I know Neil gets up at 2 a.m. and goes for a 14.4 mile run and then tells everyone about it on Instagram. But you're doing that, right? So you're kind of showing that I'm committed to this thing. I'm committed to work, and I'll make whatever time up that I haven't been able to. And I think that's clearly demonstrating that you're committed to the job, and ultimately people want to keep hold of those people.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. And they want to, keep them close. I remember when Isla took ill on her first birthday, Inverness, there's an episode on that somewhere. I was in Inverness for 10 days, and I remember speaking to my boss and was like, look, I don't know what to do here. And he was like, don't worry, don't speak to me until she's out of hospital. I don't want to hear from you. And that was it. And and you're still going to get paid. You're still going to get full pay. And like that's what matters. But I feel like I earned that, because if I was really flaky and shit and had lots of sick days and didn't pull my weight, I don't think I would have the same response. But I said, yeah.
People are willing to give you an inch, right?
Yeah.
In fact, they'll probably give you a mile if you've given your own inch.
Yeah.
Or your own mile. And I think that's a nice little lesson to anyone who's like kind of oh, I don't know if I can take time off work. It's quite scary. Like my boss is probably going to not want to do it or whatever else. It's like just
Earn it.
well, I mean, there's part of me like feels quite bad that we have to do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's like, that's why I think it comes down to the whole discussion point I'm making about the government-based thing.
Yeah.
It's like we should have at least a minimum, because then it ultimately protects people that don't like what they do.
Yeah.
That don't like who they're working with, who have bosses who are not nice people and don't understand and are workaholics and don't have kids and are willing to just be like, nah, mate, your kid's in hospital, come to work, you prick.
Yeah.
So I think there's like that balance where if we have legislation that says men get 12 months off, they get 9 months maternity leave as a minimum statutory requirement.
Yeah.
6 weeks 90% pay, 9 months statutory pay, and then 3 months off unpaid.
Yeah.
And you get a job at the end of it. Like, why is that not normal?
Yeah.
Because then you would have had you would have had a much different experience. You may have had a different experience having twins as well. You would have been like, you know what, I'm entitled to this leave, because like Scandinavia literally have almost 12 months where you get like full pay leave.
Yeah. I mean, the whole twin thing. I was shocked when when I first found out I had twins. It wasn't the first thing I did, but maybe a few weeks into it, I was like, I wonder what I get as like a twin dad. Is there anything different? No. And you find out having two babies, which in some respects is twice as hard. Why do you only get 2 weeks, 120, 130 quid a month?
It begs belief.
And the first week was in hospital.
And I don't know why this is not major news. But why is it not?
Yeah,
like we're talking about trans issues, we're talking about gay issues, lesbian issues, bi issues, female issues. We're talking about many different types of issues in the news.
Yeah.
And travesties that happen within that. And I'm not denying those happen.
And they're sad.
And they're bad issues.
Yeah.
But why is there not an issue of parents, right?
Yeah. I know.
Dads who don't get the same kind of treatment as mums.
And is there a link to the? And this is quite. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe I shouldn't say it. I went down a rabbit hole, but does it link to, I don't know, suicide rates increasing in men when they get to the kind of middle age? If they had more time off, could there be a correlation to that? I don't know.
I don't think that's a bad thing to say. Does it? If you think the biggest killer of men under the age of 50 is suicide.
Yeah.
Having children is not an easy thing. Like, you've gone through it. I've gone through it. You've gone through it twice. In fact, 3 times, but once was twice. It's hard.
Yeah, and you've got to earn. You've got to maintain the household and
maintain a relationship, and there's a big burden there. It's really hard, and we've got this continued idea of the thing of like, we already spoke about it, manning up and growing some balls and doing the thing you need to do. And there's nothing that says don't do that. You have to take time off. Like maybe it needs to be a case of you're not allowed to work.
Yeah. Because you could get those martyrs that I can work. I'm fine. I can take 2 weeks off and still work. But in reality, you probably can't. Like sleepless nights and figuring out routine.
But something gives, right? Something gives, and that's your mental health.
Yeah, it's not the job, because you're going to give the job. But it's your mental health. It's your relationships around you. It's your relationship with your child. Yeah, there's so much that gives. But for some reason, people seem to maintain their work because they see that as the income, and they see that as putting food on the table and closing their back.
Yeah, and then your wife suffers as well because she doesn't have probably the most important person as part of this process. Like it's not just about the fact that I could go to nursery with Olivia and sit with her and make a pizza. It's also that I can be there as probably one of, if not the most important part of the recovery process for Laura. When she gave birth, I spent a lot of time with her because I had my own job. But I could spend a lot of time with her and console her. And certainly during the sort of baby blues section that we went through, where there's obviously a lot of emotions that come from it. There are lots of kind of recovery that comes from it. I could be there and kind of help her rationalize things, because it's unimaginably difficult for her to experience post things that are postnatal, right? And I if I wasn't there, like, what would be happening? She'd be crying on her own in the living room.
Yeah, so I remember Rebecca was like with the twins, and with Isla probably is like, you go back to sleep because you've got work in the morning. Like, so that was a burden on Rebecca. Like, Rebecca felt that I can't perform as well at work because I've got to sleep this night ahead. So yeah, there's so much dynamics and stress caused by the husband or the dad going back to work, and that could be alleviated
by literally having like a minimum term period off or a matched term period off. It would play such a significant role in everything, to be perfectly honest. Like, I think it's just something that I felt in that moment in particular, when I was sat there with Olivia at nursery on my own, no other dads there. I just felt incredibly grateful at the same time as very sad.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we need to do more about that. And, you know, it's not at the sacrifice of any other concerning issue to any other group that's there. I think it's a matter of fact that there just isn't enough being done.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that'll do for today, Neil.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, every time I enjoy a in-person podcast, I think it's something that I much prefer. And I've said this numerous times. Like, I was speaking to, you probably know Steve Hall.
Yeah.
Five Stronger podcast, big podcast in the UK for fitness.
Is he a dad yet?
No. He's not dad, no. But my point on that was it was talking about the idea he's never really done in-person podcasts. They've all been online.
Wow.
And I was like selling him on the idea. I was like, you don't know how good they are. But they're so much better, right? Like, there's so much vibe going on here. We're having some beers, like having a chat. Like, it's just
time
good.
Just flies.
It does. It's really good fun. Either way, I really appreciate this. It was a good conversation. I'd be curious about what people think. So by all means, like, reach us out to us individually on our Instagram pages or on Developing Dads podcast Instagram page, and let us know what you think. Like, we don't necessarily share these conversations that we have with people in the DMs, but it's quite nice to hear that they've enjoyed our conversations, that they feel the same things that we feel, and maybe we'll be marching up to Parliament at some stage telling Rishi Sunak that we need some more rights for men. But I doubt that very much. Anyway, if you want to follow us, then check us out on whatever podcast platforms you're listening to, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and then the rest of them. I have no idea who the hell listens to the rest of those ones. We're also on Instagram, Developing Dads. We have reels coming out every single week, doing some bits and pieces. So by all means, check us out on there. And appreciate you listening. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Bye.
Goodbye.